Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WildWeiler Weekly Wrap. As always, I am WildWeiler. I'm getting back to normal after the whole tennis elbow thing. I'm not fully healed, but things are getting much better. First and foremost for this week, though, let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. If you don't want to hear about this, because I will be doing some minor spoilers, I'll try to keep it to a minimum, but the thing I want to talk about is slight spoilery. Go ahead and skip ahead until the poster is not on the screen anymore. Okay, now that those people are gone, let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is a good movie by Marvel movie standards, and it's an okay movie by sci-fi movie standards. It's not really groundbreaking in terms of plot structure, visuals, or a number of other things, but it is quite entertaining, and that's really what I think it's going for. It just wants to be an entertaining movie. It's thought-provoking in some ways, but realistically, it's pretty middle of the road as far as movies go, and I'm gonna blame Disney for that. I really am. They have a vision for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and for the most part, all these movies have to fit in little boxes, and this is the box, and it fits in that box really well, and it does the best it can, and does some amazing things along the way. But it has a really big problem, and this problem kept me from being engaged in the movie for a good half of it, because the rest of the plot just didn't overcome this problem for me personally until we got to about the midway point. And that problem is Chris Pratt's character, space douchebag Star-Lord. He's basically a lecherous creep the entire movie. So for those of you that don't know, Star-Lord is the sort of band of misfit leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. His girlfriend Gamora gets killed by Thanos in the movie Infinity War, and then is sort of brought back from an alternate dimension, so it's not like a resurrection. They just go sort of back in time and then find her in the movie Endgame. It's weird. It's very weird. Anyways, Chris Pratt's character, space douchebag Star-Lord, is depressed about this and can only get drunk all day and think about her because she's alive but doesn't love him anymore because she comes from a universe where they never met. And then basically he spends the entire movie stalking and harassing her. Like, why don't you love me? Oh, but I love you so much. And if you loved me, you'd see that I would be complete. This is all about my feelings. And you only exist to make me feel better is pretty much his entire attitude every time he deals with her. And it's really annoying and it's detrimental to the plot. People get hurt because of this, and perhaps most importantly, nobody in his crew is like, you need to stop harassing this woman. I need you to knock it off. Like, don't do it. It's bad. It's wrong. No, at most they either ignore it and pretend that he's not following around Gamora harassing her, or they enable it by talking about how hard it must be to be him, with maybe the exception of Nebula, but also like, she's probably the one most suited to be like, knock this off. And she doesn't do that. She doesn't really do that in any meaningful way that would stop a serial abuser or manipulator from abusing and manipulating people. So he just runs around and do that. Of course, this is just so annoying and almost weirdly central to the first half of the movie that it's just entirely impossible for me to engage in. But this is an even bigger problem than I think most people realize, and that is, it's Chris Pratt. And the problem with having Chris Pratt play this character and not talk about how bad this character is treating people is because this is what he does. This is 100% his character in Parks and Recreation all over again, where he manipulates his girlfriend by not getting his like leg casts removed, so she has to take care of him more, which eventually leads to her kicking him out when she learns that she's been manipulated for so long, and then he just stalks her. And I get that this is not human being Chris Pratt doing this, but what I will say is the fact that he keeps taking high-profile roles where his character mistreats women, stalks them, and gaslights them, maybe is a problem. But that's not as big of a problem as the time that he actually exposed his penis to his coworkers on Parks and Recreation. This actually happened. Look over there. I mean over there. Like, he admitted it in an interview, and it's like, why? Why? Like, why do we let this guy play characters that do the same sort of like shit he does? I don't get it. It's just like, I'm not even talking about the other the other problems people have with Chris Pratt right now, because, we could get into that. But the fact that he plays characters that treat women poorly, he exposes himself to women for laughs, like, this guy is not a good person, and I really, really hate how, like, he just plays characters that act like himself and everybody thinks it's great. It drives me crazy. So that's my, like, absolute flame out on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 there, because it's frankly inexcusable. Like, frankly, letting Star-Lord treat somebody like this while being played by Chris Pratt is a level of tone deafness that I really think somebody should have caught, and maybe they should have gone a different route with his plot in particular. Back to the rest of the movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has an amazing plot line that follows Rocket Raccoon. We delve into his backstory. It is heartbreaking and earnest and well-written and beautiful, and it is truly the best part of the movie, and it would have been so easy for that to be the focus. Like, there is no reason that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 shouldn't have put Star-Lord in the background for a bit, because he had his movie. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was all about him. All about him. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 should have been about Rocket Raccoon and a little bit about Nebula. It is a kind of, actually, I would argue that the movie is functionally about Nebula. There's a lot to, like, really get in there, but it's a really good movie in that regard. And if you've seen enough Marvel movies to where you think you can follow the plot, follow it, because that's the other problem. Boy, I was trying to think before, while writing this sort of, like, show notes for today's vlog, how many Marvel movies do you need to see to make sense of Guardians of the Galaxy 3? You have to at least watch 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Endgame, Infinity War, then Endgame. I don't know if you need to watch an Avengers movie in there that isn't one of those, like the first Avengers movie or whatever. Definitely Thor Love and Thunder, but I think to understand Thor Love and Thunder, I think you'll get that from watching Endgame. It's a mess. You might have to watch Ant-Man just to be sure. Also, you should watch Ant-Man because it's good. I haven't seen Quantumania yet. I probably won't, but the first Ant-Man was great. Anyways, enough of that. Oh, no, wait, sorry, one more thing. The other great thing about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is that there's a B-plot involving a man who whistles and a dog in a spacesuit, and that's all I'm going to say on that, because it's the best B-plot in a Marvel movie that introduces you to a new character, gives you her wants, her fears, and her flaws in maybe the 15 minutes of screen time she gets, and it's amazing. And it's how you take secondary characters and make them feel round, despite the fact that they are simple. Because, let's be honest, a circle is simple, but it is still round. It's not as complex as a sphere, but it still is nice and round and fleshed out. And these characters are the perfect examples of circles in movies, where they don't have any, like, weird corners or rough edges that don't make sense. They are polished, even though they are simple, and it truly is great. So that's enough of that. So I moved studios this week, which was a lot of work. I actually have key lighting now, so I've noticed the tracking already is way better. So that's really cool. I mean, my eyebrows have gotten way more expressive. I can blink reliably, and I'm not doing this all the time. Or my favorite one is when there's like a weekly vlog that's about 90% closed eyes because it, can't see my eyes well. So no, we have lighting, we have great stuff. This is an amazing space that I've moved into. It is a total mess that I have to clean up, but like, I hope you guys are seeing the benefits of having key lighting and just a much better space. I should sound a little bit better. Finally, let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons. So, coming up, I am starting a new Dungeons & Dragons campaign. This is not a YouTube thing. This is just in my personal life, and I am excited, and I want to talk about it because it's with a great group of friends that I've been playing with for a while now, and I really enjoy their company, and oh boy, is this really exciting. So, I've been making a new guy. This is my guy. This is my guy. This is my guy. I'm not going to cut that out. That's going to stay in because it's funny. This is my guy. As you can see, he's some sort of antelope man, and that's because this world has a sub-race satyr that's based off of the springbok antelope. Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I got the coloring like just right, so it's pretty good. Quick note, what D&D calls a satyr is actually not the Greek satyr. It's more closely related to the Roman faun. In Greek mythology, satyrs were a man with a horse tail and a permanently erect penis. This made them the absolute worst type of person to ask to help you move a couch into their apartment because, frankly, the tail and the penis are just going to get in the way all the time. Now, in Greek art, you will see a man with goat legs depicted. This is usually the god Pan. He's just hanging out. He has a lot of the same sort of values, wants, and addictions. Maybe not addictions, but values, wants, and interests as the satyrs do, which is to say alcohol and possibly sex, but that might be more Roman too. Anyways, although I guess the penis thing probably implies sex. Anyways, in late Grecian art, you do start to get satyrs with goat legs. There's not very many of them. Most of that is actually art of the Roman faun, which is where sort of our modern understanding kind of like leaps off from, with sort of a little bit of additionalizing along the way by the Chronicles of Narnia, which kind of make them a tiny bit more chaste than they probably should be. And what I mean by that is everybody's chaste in Narnia, so like, whatever. Anyways, I freaking love these guys. I love smoochable goat boys. I'm just a fan. So that's that. I'm playing a heavily armored mounted fighter, which I am very excited for. What I am less excited about is the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons leaves little space for mounted characters. The only class that even comes close to mentioning it is the Cavalier, and very quickly in the development process for that class, they obviously went from Cavalier being a member of the cavalry to Cavalier being this sort of attitude of one who is Cavalier, which I would say is not the best. Like, very few of your abilities are related to being on mount. But I have a quick little trick that'll make any class, I can make any class in D&D a mounted combat class if you want. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to take the mounted combatant feat, if your DM allows feats. If they don't allow feats, quit the game, because that's the only way to do this, and if you wanted mounted combatant, you need this feat. The second thing you need is a military saddle. This bad boy costs you 25 Gs, but, you know, it's worth it. You want to know why? Because it makes it really hard to knock you off your horse. So with the mounted combatant feat and the 25 Gs, you will be perfectly set up and able to not only attack with advantage, but be difficult to knock off your horse, and a couple of little other things. It's the perfect mounted combatant thing. It's better than everything else going on in the Cavalier class, which to my knowledge, outside of the Paladin and the Summon Steed spell, is the only, like, other mounted thing, and you don't need Summon Steed. You don't need it. Okay? It's a, like taking Paladin just to be a mounted combatant is not why you should be playing Paladin. So I will be playing Samurai, actually, and grabbing these items along the way, and that'll be great. My character is a noble, so I'll have the skills of a samurai, you know, mechanically, but the background is very more like sort of nomadic nobility, you know, king of the desert or prince of the desert sort of thing. Prince of Egypt, I guess, a little bit. But, you know, so that's kind of where I'm sort of heading, and that is really exciting. Finally, I made some clothing for myself. Wha-bam! That's right, it's a shirt with my butt on it. So, it's kind of cool. I really like it. I spent a good amount of time. It works with my arms moving. So, it's neat. It's cool. Anybody else using a Latin Vixen base, you are more than welcome to ask me for it. Get my butt on your chest. You just have to tell me where you want it. And that does it for this week. Streams coming up. I have streams on Wednesday and Thursday. Streams are back, people. Don't know the games yet, but we will figure it out, mainly because I don't know if some friends are coming along for the ride or not. As always, specific times can be found over on my calendar on Twitch. On YouTube this week, we have another link to the past episode coming up. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day. As always, I have been WildWeiler, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.